to our very first episode of Plants with Audra. I'm going to start off today with my top 5 plants for mourning geckos. 2 things that I think about when I'm picking out plants for terrariums are humidity and temperature. Do they match the animal? And for mourning geckos, they want to be in the 70s to low 80s. The basking spot of maybe, upper 80s, low 90s at the very, very hottest spot. So I'm looking for plants that want to be kept in that temperature range. And my geckos want to be pretty humid, so I'm thinking about plants that also want to be pretty humid. And my first plant for today is Dracaenas. And Dracaenas are a genus of about 120 species of plants, mainly from Africa. Some of them growing to be over 70 feet tall and living hundreds and hundreds of years. So really, really cool genus of plants. This is a Dracaena compacta, and this is probably my favorite species of Dracaena for mourning geckos, crested geckos, because of how dense the leaves are. Lots and lots of leaves, creating lots and lots of hiding spots for small crested geckos, phalsumas, small phalsumas, Phalsuma lineata, laudicata, Wilde's day geckos, peacock day geckos, line day geckos, tree frogs, small tree frogs, White's tree frogs, red-eyed tree frogs. All these animals would really love using these as hides. With mourning geckos, I'm thinking about how many different hides can I provide for this tank, because with mourning geckos, you have a female reproducing asexually, and those eggs are hatching out in the enclosure. I'm thinking about where can all these babies hide and feel safe in the enclosure. So another type of Dracaena that we have here is the white bird, Dracaena white bird. It's not as dense, but it's got these really nice white tips here. So if you have a tank with just, 1 or 2 geckos, not mourning geckos, these would be probably better for that, because you don't have to provide as much cover if there's not as many animals in the enclosure. These make great egg laying sites for phalsumas and other animals that lay their eggs in crevices as well. Mourning geckos, however, do not lay their eggs in crevices. As a lot of you know, they glue them to things, which is really annoying. All right, my second plant on the list, Syngoniums. Let's see what I have for Syngoniums today. I've got 2 varieties of Syngoniums. I like Syngoniums because they add a little color pop to the tank. You can see how dark these leaves are. There's pink ones, there's all sorts of different color variations of Syngoniums. They come from southern Mexico into Central America. Syngoniums can grow up to 60 feet into the canopy using their roots, and they've got very soft leaves. So another thing I'm thinking about when I'm picking out plants is, can they handle the weight of the animal that's going in the enclosure? With mourning geckos, they're very, very small, so yes, these soft leaves can handle it. I would not put a Syngonium in with a lychee because, 1, they're huge and they would crush them, but also because of their nails. Their nails would destroy these soft leaves really, really quickly. Our next plant is ficus. Let's talk about ficus. I have 2 ficuses here. This is a Ficus benjamina. If you want to put a tree into your terrarium, this is a great one. They really grow and fill the canopy, and so you're going to have to trim it. And the really cool thing is about ficus, when you trim it, just pop whatever you cut off into water and it'll root, and you will have a new plant, a new little tree. So I have lots of little ficuses growing in a lot of my terrariums because I have to constantly trim them down because they grow right up into the light. So you definitely have to do some trimming with these guys, but they are a really awesome plant to have in terrariums for mourning geckos. Up next here we have our ginseng ficus. This is actually a bonsai tree and provides a really awesome trunk for animals to hang out on. I like to use these also in my day gecko enclosures. And my day geckos love the trunks, but they provide a lot of cover for small geckos, which is what I'm thinking about. And you're definitely gonna have to trim this back as well, because they will grow right up to the top and actually grow right through the screen to get out of your enclosure. So sometimes you have a little tree popping out the top. So they definitely do need haircuts pretty regularly. Number 4 on our list is Pothos. what's not to love about Pothos? It is indestructible, and it comes in a ton of different colors and varieties. So you are bound to find one that is right for you. I really like them because they fill in, well, the whole tank really, if you give them the opportunity. So this right here is a Pothos Enjoy. It's a shorter, more compact Pothos, and it has smaller leaves. And this is a neon Pothos. It's got the bright yellow leaves, and I have a golden Pothos as well. And it's got the yellow speckling in the leaves. And you can see how much leaf cover they provide for an animal to hang out on. And this is also one of my favorite plants for crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, frogs. I think every frog tank I have has Pothos of some sort growing in it because they do so well. And Pothos, a vining plant, they can shoot off vines that grow, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of feet long. And they use these aerial roots, you can see these long roots that they're shooting off here, to grab onto things and climb, right? So a lot of plants that live in the jungle where there's really thick foliage need to climb up to be able to reach light, like epiphytes, right? Bromeliads, air plants, they do that as well. Pothos are doing the same thing. They are climbing up other things to be able to reach light. And so when you put a Pothos in your tank, it very well might grab onto the background of your enclosure. It might grab onto some cork bark or some oak bark you might have in there. It's going to grab on and climb up to the top, which is pretty cool. So really awesome vine. Also, they tolerate a whole lot of variety of conditions. You can chop off a piece and put it in a cup of water and it'll just grow forever. So if you're ready for a house plant, but it's your first one, Pothos is a great one. And I wanted to point out this one really quick. This is a neon Pothos, and you can see the color variations just within this individual plant. So there's a lot of color variation within plants in general, but Pothos as well. Plant number 5. This is actually my very favorite plant for mourning geckos. This has gotten very, very leggy because it's been grown with no light. Not no light, I don't have it in a closet, but it has low light. But umbrella plants or scheffleras are very tolerant of lots of different types of light conditions, which is pretty cool. But look at all these leaves. So many leaves. In my terrariums, they have really filled in the enclosure and provided a whole canopy of little leaves. You'll find mourning geckos basking on all of them, hanging out right up underneath the light. So this is definitely my favorite plant for mourning geckos. I have these in with all of my mourning geckos. There are lots of different types of scheffleras, and this is a variegated schefflera. You can see the white along the edges. And it's also getting kind of low light, so there's not a lot of variegation because of that. You know, plants generally get more variegation when they're kept in brighter environments. That wraps up our first episode of Plants with Audra. What terrariums are you setting up right now that you have questions about? What reptiles and amphibians are you working with that you want to learn more about what plants would work for them? Let me know in the chat. See you guys later.